Okay, hello, and welcome back to another episode 21 this time, of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France, and we've got Colin here from French Countryside Live.
Wow.
And about once a week, we just get together and chat about stuff that's interesting to us. Now, before we start, a couple of things we want to say. Main thing is, this is for entertainment purposes only. And anything we say is our experiences or our thoughts on whatever we are discussing.
So does this count as a legal disclaimer? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. And the reason for that is, although we've only, at current standing, only got 235 subscribers, we do get a lot of views on the videos. And we also get quite a lot of comments. And I just want to have a look at some of the comments that we've got. Mostly good. In fact, nearly all of them are good, to be honest. But some people have started asking for advice or assistance in the comment. And I'm afraid we are not qualified to...
There was a comment just recently, actually, the last comment that came in.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It escapes me at the moment, but it was quite a technical... Quite a specific question, and I had no idea.
No, and we don't claim to know everything, but
No.
These are our genuine, we're not making any of this up, these are genuine experiences that we have living here. So with that in mind, we do get some nice comments, and I just want to quickly read a nice comment we got from Roger. It says, as I said before, it's good entertainment, brings back happy memories of lads down the pub talking banter. And I thought that was quite nice, because that's really what we're aiming for. It doesn't have to be lads, by the way. Anybody can listen. But it's nice just to know that people appreciate that it's just entertainment, and that's all it is.
So what's the subject for today?
So I thought we could do, last week was a really, by the way, thanks Faye, loved having you on.
Top job.
We really enjoyed that. Even though it was quite a somber subject, death.
Well, you know, like we said at the time, death and taxes.
Yeah, so I thought we'd do something a bit more lighthearted and easygoing. So we're going to discuss doing what it's like to do DIY projects in France. And the reason, we've done similar stuff before, but just basically what it's like to do stuff in your own house. Because there's a lot of information out there that isn't quite right, that we've found, or that what can you do and who do you go to get it signed off? So that kind of stuff. Where do you buy your materials? All that sort of stuff. So that's what I thought.
So let's get right back to basics. Now, what would you say was the most basic do-it-yourself toolkit that you would need to arm yourself with? The very most basic.
The most basic, you're probably going to need like hammers, screwdrivers, tape measure, spirit level.
Tape measure in inches. No.
I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that.
I only said it to...
I know. So that's interesting, actually, because they measure things in centimeters here. So,
but curiously, you can buy a 1/4 inch plumbing fitting, can't you? Or half inch.
You can buy, okay, so there are specific thread sizes and ways of measuring threads. And yes, they do sell 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch BSP threads, British Standard Pitch, I think something along those lines.
Yeah.
But that's an actual specification, like, I don't know, it used to have BSA, UNF. They were all different methods of measuring sizes of nuts and bolts and all that. They do sell that, but they also put in the metric equivalent, but it's something odd, like 15, 17, or
Yeah.
so they measure, when you get plumbing fittings, they measure the inside and the outside diameter of the pipe you're using, and they use that to specify your threads, specify your fittings. So where we would be used to going into screw fix and saying, oh, we'll have 15 mil pipe, well, they have 15, 17, for example, which is the inside diameter is 15.
And then the outside, yeah.
And then the outside 17, but that would actually be for a 16 mil pipe. I mean, it's just odd.
Yeah.
But once you get your head around it.
Dragging it back now again. So most basic toolkit. So your hammer, your set of screwdrivers maybe.
For sure.
Tape measure, spirit level.
Right. I want to mention one thing about the screwdrivers. Make sure you have a PZ2 and a PH2 for a crossheads.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff here is actually PH, which is Phillips. And it actually, if you get them mixed up, it slips. So if you're screwing in a crosshead screw with an impact driver or even just a normal screwdriver and you find it slipping all the time, check if it's a PH or a PZ. They both look very, very similar, but they're different screw head types. And if you have the wrong one in the wrong screw, then it slips.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example for that. The black screws that you use to screw plasterboard on with are PH. Wood screws you use to screw your timber together with is PZ.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's just a little tip.
Yeah, nice one. So, so what else in your most basic toolkit?
For here, I would certainly say if you're going to do any kind of plumbing, you're going to need a set of water pump pliers and an adjustable spanner wrench. Clay on glaze, I think they call it. And yeah, and that'll allow you to adjust to most sizes you're going to need with the pliers and the adjustable spanner.
So okay, so that's your most basic toolkit.
Yeah.
So you get a taste.
Wood saw.
Sorry, say again.
A wood saw.
A wood saw, yeah. So moving up into a basic toolkit from a most basic toolkit, what would you add to that to?
Then you're going to start with some kind of power tools for sure. In these old houses, most of them will have some form of oak or hardwood, either in the roof, the beams, something like that. You're going to need a drill. Even if you're trying to screw a screw into it, you're going to have to pre-drill it first. It's not like the Douglas fir or the pine that you get back in the UK. The old hardwood here.
Stuff like iron, isn't it?
Yeah. You'll snap the screw sometimes before you can actually screw it in. I've done that many times.
Yeah.
So a drill, a cordless drill of some sort, and a set of bits to go with it. Also, if you're going down that route, you're certainly going to need a square, and you're going to need pencils. Everybody needs pencils.
And they just disappear.
Always losing pencils.
I always find that when I'm doing something, I turn my back and the pencil fairy comes along and steals it.
Oh.
And then when I'm not looking for it, she goes, "Oh, there it is."
Yeah.
How could you not see that? What's the matter with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a bizarre. I always said that I could lose a 6 foot spirit level in a 3 foot room. I don't know where they go. I'm always looking. Go on. Sorry.
It's all right. So while you mention it, let's just talk about cordless drills.
Yeah.
So would you say that the rule of thumb is to buy the best you can afford? Is that fair, or would you say, you've got a range from your, your Parkside at, is it Lidl or Aldi?
Yeah, one of the two, yeah.
Your Parkside up to your DeWalt's and Makita's and so on, and then up to the Festool.
Yeah, it depends what you're going to do. So, what do you consider as do it yourself? And I think that's something we should. What you know, if you're going to
Define do it yourself, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're just going to put some pictures up, you're going to take some radiators off. I mean, anything like that just to decorate behind, or you're going to put in a new socket, something like that. You have to really think about what you're going to define as your level of DIY. I wouldn't necessarily buy the most expensive you can afford, because there's a lot of people with a lot of money that aren't really going to do the sort of hard day in, day out work that you're going to do.
So would you say that the more you spend on a say, I don't know, an SDS drill, the more you spend on it, the longer it's going to last and the tougher it's going to be, rather than it has more features, or both?
Yeah, for sure. Once you get to a certain level, you're buying reliability and longevity.
It's like the steel garden power tools, isn't it? You know, the steel streamers. You're just buying the reliability and the availability of parts as well.
But this is a top tip. Instead of buying something new, buy something. Go look online, Le Bon Coin, something like that. Find a good make that's been sold off cheaper because the person just doesn't use it. And there's loads of them I've seen. You can get a Makita 18-volt cordless drill that's probably been used about 5 or 6 times, and then they realize they're never going to use it, and it's half price.
Yeah, that is a really good top tip, actually. Really good.
And you're better off buying something older but good quality. And I've got a couple of examples of that. First one is, like you said, the still power tools.
Steel, yeah.
Even the new ones aren't as good as the old ones.
Yeah.
So I've got an old chainsaw and brush cutter, line trimmer, depending where you're from. And it's run flawlessly since I bought it, and that must have been probably 2015.
Yeah.
You know, almost 10 years of work. I haven't done anything to it, you know, literally nothing.
Yeah.
Every year I go there and it starts and it runs.
Mm.
Never broken, and I've used it a lot. Also, my mini digger, I bought it in 2016, maybe 2017. Didn't do anything to it. Still haven't done anything to it. And it's still going, still digging holes long after these Chinese excavators you can buy online and get delivered to your house. I read, and you can see this on some YouTube channels, especially the French ones. They buy the Chinese digger and it just breaks, things snap.
Yeah.
This digger's been going for so long, and
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Exactly. And it's a Japanese make, and it's just solid. So my top tip on tools is look for a second-hand one of a really good make, Makita, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Festool, any of those, and get them cheaper online.
Yeah, good call. Good call. So you've got to a level where you've got your basic toolkit. What would you add to it to, you know, so you've got the capability to take on stuff that you've not done before and you know, just to give you more options?
Right. So once you've got yourself a cordless drill, you're going to need in France is an SDS drill.
Yeah.
And the reason is even the concrete blocks, a cordless drill will really struggle to go through unless you've got like a top of the range one.
Yeah.
You're better off buying an SDS drill. And if you're buying one of those, look for one that has a hammer only function as well as hammer and drill. Then you can use it for chiseling stone, brick, anything. And they can be had for reasonable money second hand, or if you want to buy them new. But yeah, that would greatly lift your potential, because where I live in Brittany, the walls are stone, but it's granite.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, anytime you want to drill into it, a normal drill, even my really good ones, whatever bit you put in is just not going to touch it.
Yeah.
So you need an SDS drill and associated bits for it.
Mm.
You can then use that for core drilling as well, if you get a decent one. That's quite useful over here as well, because hammering a hole through a wall here is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be cordless, and this is what I would say. The bigger tools that you use less frequently, don't bother with the cordless. You're not going to use it every day. Get a corded one, like especially for the SDS. It brings the cost right down, and you 99% of the time you'll have power there. So certainly go with that. So SDS drill to lift it up, a notch, and a circular saw once we get to that point. So just a normal, it doesn't even have to be cordless again, because you'll always have power.
Yeah.
But with that, you can cut really large beams, and you cut them straight, which is very difficult to do with a handsaw if you don't have that. So that's what I would say with that.
So, following my experience with your good self, you put me onto the Bosch Professional 12 volt. Now they're a small tool. This would be the bit where Robbie would put up the picture of Kenneth Williams, isn't it? It's a small tool, but useful in the hand. Don't titter. So what are your thoughts on those?
For me, they're brilliant. So I have a massive range of DeWalt stuff, just the ones I picked when I first started out about 20 odd years ago. And recently I decided to reduce the size of all the tools that I had so I can fit more in a smaller bag.
Yep.
So I looked around, and the Bosch Professional 12 volt, or at the time when I bought mine, it was 10.8, but 12 volt ones, they're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The drill, the hammer drill, the small hammer drill, tiny one, is so powerful. For its size, it's amazing. The mini angle grinder, which I laughed at and thought, my God, would I ever use that? I use it all the time for nearly everything. I use it to cut my toast up in the morning. It's brilliant. Honestly, you can get it with
your toenails then.
You can get different types of blades for it, metal cutting, like an angle grinder, or
tile.
Tile,
Tile
and
disc,
the tile blade
that's
is
a game changer, isn't it?
It's so good. I actually converted my brother, because I got the Bosch one, the mini one with the tile thing on, and I showed him it while he was working. He was like, "I've got to get one of those. I've got to get one of those." So he went and bought the Milwaukee one, which is €250, but all the rest of his tools are Milwaukee. But the Bosch one, for its size, is amazing. I mean, I can't recommend them enough, and the price point on all of the equipment is brilliant. I think anyway. But
what I do is all the ones that I really want. I don't need them, but I really want them. I put them in the Amazon wish list and then check them regularly. And every now and again, one will be discounted. Check that against the all the usual suppliers. Just put it into Google and see what the screw fixes and all the rest of it. And if it is if it is a really good deal, then I think I saved about 50 or 60 euros on the 12 volt. I never know whether to say router or router.
Router.
It is router, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, a router is your thing for your internet.
Of course it is, yeah. Or is that a router? This is a router. Anyway, the 12 volt router. I saved about 50 or 60 euros on that one because it was just come up on offer and ordered it. Brilliant.
Yeah, so you can get loads of different accessories for that. And honestly, if you're watching this and you're wondering, oh look, I'd like to buy some power tools, don't have much space, I probably won't do. I mean, if you do loads, But if you just want to do DIY stuff, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
We're not getting paid by Bosch. Said I did actually send an email to
Mr. Bosch.
to
I think his name's Robert.
Bob Bosch. I did actually send him an email saying, I've got this YouTube channel, I'd like to review, and I got this. Well, first of all, I was surprised that they took the time to reply, and secondly, I wasn't surprised for them to say, "You're not the only one who's asked this," and sadly, we're not going to be able to help you this time. But
I wonder if Mr. Beast had asked what they would say.
Yeah.
What do you want? Have it all.
Yeah, or Dan.
Yeah.
Happen to be Dan, and you're doing a shadow. We'll leave that one there. Anyway.
Yeah. No, it's a good make, and it's worth looking at. You can buy it at Leroy's as well. So you can buy extra batteries. Most of the range is there, not all, but most. So yeah. So
Once again, the batteries, leave them in your wish list on Amazon, and they get discounted every now and again. They're normally around 42 to 45 euros for each battery. But the last one I got, because I've got batteries in every one of them now, because I buy them when they're on discount. The last one I bought was 24 euros.
Brilliant. And you can get the extended battery for them as well, can't you?
The big fat battery, but it just seems kind of counterintuitive, really, to have a.
Yeah.
I don't want to say small tool, because it's, it just seems counterintuitive to have like a small tool with a massive great battery on it.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Swiftly moving on. So yeah, that's where we're at. So SDS drill there to lift it up a notch, I think.
Right. So the next thing I'd like to ask or talk about is tools break down, don't they? Especially the larger tools. I've got 3 things in the workshop at the moment that 2 have got the same problem and 1 is something else. So the way that I think of it is that if it is broken down, take it apart and have a look, because it's broken anyway.
Yeah.
You're not going to break it anymore by taking it apart, are you?
You don't need to tell me twice.
No, I know. I'm preaching to the converted here, but in fact, I actually phoned Andy and said, "Oh, what do I do? I don't know what to do. Take it apart. What's the matter with you?"
Exactly.
So so obviously, if it's a tool that's under warranty.
Yeah.
But warranty is a bit different here, isn't it? It's a bit more involved, isn't it?
I've only ever had one thing here under warranty, and it was messy, shall we say?
Yeah, because we bought when we was at the other place, we bought a gas bottle room heater.
Oh yeah.
Like a room heater that ran off a bottle, and I put it all together and could not get it to fire up. Tried everything, couldn't get it. So I took it back, and they said, just expect, because it didn't work, and it was only like a couple of days old, that they would just replace it.
No.
But no, we'll send it off. I said, well, can I just not get a new one then? No, we'll send it off.
That's crazy, no?
Yeah. So just can you not just give me a new one? No, we have to send it off. Okay. So I said, how long is it going to be? So I gave him 2 weeks. I went back and I said, about the room heater. Have you heard anything? And no. And I looked in the work. It's sat in the corner. I said, you haven't even sent it off, have you?
Yeah.
Right, anyway, so I after about a month of that, I started to get a bit loud, and they ended up giving me a credit note.
Who was that with? Which shop was that?
That was Brico Marché, I think.
Yeah. So my only experience with it is with a Bosch Professional, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So they do a really
Was the
nice,
one that I broke, was it?
really nice mini circular saw, and I was using this thing, and it's for its size, it'll cut 18mm ply,
Yeah.
and it's only about this big.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But the one I bought kept going off to the right, and I'm thinking, that's not.
Is it me? Yeah.
Even if I put a guard on it, because it comes with a guard, it's still pulling right all the time.
Yeah.
I said, this isn't right.
The spindle's not right, is it?
Yeah, there's something wrong with the tool itself. So we went down with my brother because we were at work. So we went to Leroy's, because we bought it from Leroy's. Took it to the guy at the counter, and first thing he said was, "What are you doing with that in here?" I was like, "Well, look, here's my receipt. It's in the box. We bought this 2 months ago, but I just hadn't used it until then." And he goes, "Well, first of all, you can't come in the store with it. So this is another tip. You've got to go to the security guard at the front. In the Leroy's, always the.
I know, yeah. There's a little, yeah.
And he gives you a little note to say that you're bringing it into the store.
Right.
Then you can do what you want with it. So we then took it to the guy on the counter. We're thinking, oh, that's the guy that we want to. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with this. Go and see the people in the bit where you collect your merchandise.
Yep.
That office down there, they'll sort it out. So we went down there, said to the woman, look, it's less than 3 months old. It's not cutting right. And she went, right, we'll send it off. And I was like, well, can you just give me another one? And she was like, no. And I really needed this. So I said, right, stand by there. Went outside, bought another one from the guy at the counter, came back with a receipt, and I said, I just got this. I just tried it out in the van. It's not cutting right. Put the old one in the box. Gave it to the woman. She said, we'll send it off. And I was like, okay, no worries, send it off. Anyway, we then ended up getting I then returned. I can't remember what I did now, but he ended up getting the one sent off and getting the money back for it. I said, look, I don't want the money back. Just send it off. If there's a problem, they'll give you the money back. And I was like, okay, but that would have taken too long, so I bought the new one. Anyway, so we sent it off. And then my brother gets a call about a month later. We got your saw back. Just come and collect it. I said, no, you gave us the money back for it. Anyway, they were adamant that we had to go and collect it. We just left it in the end and didn't go because we, didn't want two saws. So, but the whole process was really
torturous.
Tricky.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Taking stuff back that doesn't work is very difficult, and it's hard.
I don't know whether there's a Sale of Goods Act like there is in the in the UK. For anybody outside the UK watching, there's something called the Sale of Goods Act in the UK, which means that an item has to be fit for the purpose it's sold for, and if it's not, then it's you can get a refund.
Yeah, and it's used a lot, so much.
Yeah,
and because of that, the customer service in the UK about stuff like that is usually spot on.
Yeah,
really is. But over here, it's an absolute nightmare. And even just buying stuff and getting it delivered is a pain sometimes. In March, I ordered 20 solar panels and all the fixings to fit them on the roof in March, and they were just delivered 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But they didn't deliver the fixing rails, so they've been sat in the garden waiting to be fixed now since then, about a few weeks. Email the person or the company, no response. And basically one day a lorry just turns up with them on the back. But not only that, there was 3 packets of 10, and I only wanted 20, and it's got somebody else's name on the 3rd packet, and the woman who's about to drive off, who's delivered it, and I'm saying, look, they're not mine. But she was definitely trying to give them to me. She was like, look, I'm ringing the office saying it's for you. I said, it's not even got my name on it.
Yeah.
Not even my address.
Someone else has gone, I ain't got
Yeah.
your address.
But 3 weeks ago, I was that guy.
I was going to say, that's probably what happened to you.
Yeah.
That woman probably had your rounds. We found it fine, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's just, anyway, that's enough about customer service. We could do a whole episode on that.
Right, so moving on. So time's up. I can't believe the time already. So moving on quickly. So plumbing and heating, just, I mean, that's another episode in itself, isn't it? Plumbing and heating. In terms of DIY, the main differences in France for your
Right, I actually did a video on this.
Say again?
Description. I did a video on this. Plumbing and heating, the main difference is the type of heating. I would say the main source of heating here is not gas. So in England, 99% of certainly all those houses near a town or a village is going to have gas.
Yeah.
Whereas here they don't have mains gas unless you're bang in the middle of a big town. Yeah. And that's because the area is just so big to traverse. It's just insane. So because of that, you're stuck with wood heating systems or oil-fired boilers.
Well, that's an issue in itself, isn't it? The oil-fired, because you can't buy them anymore. And I think we looked at a house listing just out of interest, and it was a big maison de maître, and they said that it had an oil-fired central heating. Does work, but may need replacing. You know, that's just a nightmare, isn't it? Because
but if it's your primary residence and you're tax resident in France, you can read that as the government will give you the money or quite a lot of money towards putting in a new heating system.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's written on there for that reason alone. But yeah, oil-fired heating is a complete nightmare. Then the other option is electric heating, which is incredibly expensive.
Really expensive, yeah.
Really expensive. Wood-fired heating systems, unless they've got a system like yours, tends not to heat the whole house. It'll just heat individual rooms.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a nightmare. Plumbing-wise over here, you don't have the same push-fit connectors as you do in England. So it used to speed fit, Hep 2.0, those kind of fittings where you can just.
I think the biggest issue with the plumbing is if the house has been owned by a British person previously.
Yeah, that can cause big problems.
Can it?
Oh yeah.
Link in description.
But not only that, a lot of British people have come over here, not so much now, but in the previous years from the 1980s onwards, I guess. But and wired it all up with English wires. I've seen English sockets as well.
I'm glad you went on to the electrics, because that's next on me. So electrics. Can you just explain the basic differences between a UK housing circuit and a French housing circuit?
Although the UK is changing rapidly at the moment, they're going more to similar kind of systems, but the French systems don't normally have a ring main system. So a ring main is where you have let's say one cable goes out and goes clockwise around your downstairs, the other one goes anti-clockwise down your downstairs, and they meet in the middle in a socket. And so you've got, in effect, 2 cables going into the same circuit breaker, but it's part of a loop that goes round. One goes clockwise, one goes anti-clockwise, and they all meet up in the middle. And the idea behind that was to sort of share the load between either going clockwise or anti-clockwise, depending on what's going on. That's not done in France. So in France, you have a straight piece of wire, is the best way to explain this, going from your circuit breaker into a socket, into another one, into another one, into another one, and then stops. So it's just one line of sockets. The other big difference is all your major appliances have to be fused separately. By fused, I mean circuit breaker. So if you look in your little box, you'll probably have lounge sockets, lights, etc., etc. But then you will have a specific one for microwave, dishwasher, oven. They'll all be separate. So will radiators as well. They'll all be separate. So everything has to be separated out. And the circuit breakers switch both the live and the neutral, whereas currently in England it's possible to have it just switching the live and not the neutral. So those are basic differences, really.
Yeah. So how far would you say that it's safe for your fairly competent DIY to delve into that?
I always amuses me. Well, no, amuses. That sounds really condescending. I don't mean that. It always interests me that people will give electrics a go, but will stay away from plumbing. Now,
see, I'm the other way around. I mean, I've said to you many times in the past that the worst thing that's going to happen with plumbing is you get wet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, whereas you mess electrics up, you know, it's a world of pain, isn't it? And it can kill you, you know.
Yeah, exactly that. One-way ticket. I mean, modern systems have RCDs, residual current devices, which will offer a degree of protection. But if you go right back to the meter here, you know, you can connect into the power coming out of your meter, and it's only protected by a larger RCD, which wouldn't be sufficient to stop you from having a cardiac arrest. But all of that is accessible by the end user, i.e. the customer or technician. And no rule currently that I'm aware of, put comments in below if this is changing, that you have to be qualified to work on the electrics. You don't. You can work on your own electrics if you want to. There are obviously liability problems with that, but and there is a certain rule about renovations. If you are doing a complete renovation, new fuse board and the like, you have to put a temporary board in and then get it signed off by the consuel, and then they will EDF will then connect it to their meter. So but generally speaking, you can do what you want.
So at what point would you say it's sensible to call in a professional?
I guess the actual answer is probably if you've never done it before, always call in a professional.
Yeah.
Especially with electrics. Plumbing, I can kind of see you can have a go yourself, but you do risk property damage.
Yeah.
But it's unlikely you're going to die. But with electrics,
it's a drown, of course.
But all of the standard stuff, moving a socket, replacing a socket, wiring in a new light, all those kind of minor things, you can attempt as long as you can isolate it properly. Now, I just want to mention, and I think you actually touched on this in one of your videos, it's entirely possible in France to flick a light switch, the light goes out, but it's still live. I think you found that, haven't you?
Yeah, we did. Wasn't it on the lamp outside?
Something.
Was it that?
So what's happened there is somebody has put a switch.
It was a lamp outside, yeah. There was a, yeah.
So they put a switch in the neutral line, which means the power goes up to the light, through the light, but can't make it back to the circuit breaker so it doesn't light up, but it's still live. So if you took that off, and just because it's not turned on, you think it's live, you think it's safe, and it's not, and it's live. I've seen that a few times in France.
Yeah. Well, that's where that tool that you showed me, the little pen that lights up and gives you an audible alarm to show something's live or not. They're only like €20, aren't they, at the most, 25 euros, and they can save your life.
Yeah, definitely get one of those. Stick it in your toolkit, because even with a multimeter or any other kind of tester that requires a live and neutral to work, you can still be live and you still won't get a reading on there, and you'll think it's dead and it's not. So you've got to be super careful. That's normally on lighting circuits, not so much on sockets.
So we're going to touch on this this next thing in much more detail in a following episode. But how to choose a professional.
So the reason that it's assumed that you won't do a lot of stuff and things aren't inspected is because they assume you're going to use a registered artisan.
Artisan, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, and they come and they give you a written quotation, a DEVI for the work, and then they carry out the work and they give you a guarantee or an insurance after that for 10 years, normally for building. It does vary depending on what you're doing, but normally it's 10 years. So that's one of the reasons things aren't inspected. So if you had an extension on the side of your house, in fact, I built one for my dad, at no point does building control come out and look at it and say, oh, you've used the right supports, you've used the right wood, the size of this, that doesn't happen. No. Because they assume you're going to get a professional to do it, and he has to do it in accordance with their regulations. And we are going to touch on this because my brother's going to join us, and he's going to tell us because there's norms or regulations for everything, including tiling, would you believe? So, the specifics for tiling, what type of adhesive to use, thickness, how often you have to have an expansion joint. So big tile floors have to have an expansion joint. Tons of stuff.
The one practical bit of advice I could offer at this point would be if you phone a professional and they can come straight away, then you've got to ask yourself why.
Yeah, I mean, finding a professional is actually not as easy as you think it is. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who actually try and pass themselves off as a registered artisan, but there's things that aren't quite right. Like they won't have they might not have their business number, their SIRIT number, or they might not have the details of their insurance when you request it, or there'd be just inconsistencies in the quotation. There's a lot of help online about that, but I'm really looking forward to doing that episode and give you a bit more information.
We'll come back to that. Yeah. So time's hurtling on. I just wanted to touch on one other subject, if I could, and it'd be a subject that's close to your heart, I know. Car DIY or vehicle DIY.
All right.
So what would be your basic toolkit for your car?
Well, strangely enough, you hear a lot of people say that modern engines you can't really do much with, but something like 85 to 90% of the problems or breakdowns you yourself likely to encounter are to do with flat batteries.
Right.
Would you believe it? And it is something ridiculously high. So the things I would concentrate on is getting a jump starter for your car.
Yeah, you can get the little lithium-ion ones now. They're fantastic.
Yeah, if I had nothing else and I could pick one thing to have, it would be that. So I've actually done an episode where I've used it in various different episodes, and they are brilliant. These lithium-ion jump starters get a good make, like a Nocco. I think they're one of the best. They're the one I have, certainly. And I've used that to jumpstart everything from a lawnmower to a 4x4 to vans to tractors, everything. And it's just fantastic. And if you have that on board, you'll never have the fear of not being able to start the car, or the possibility you could always help somebody else who can't start their car.
Yeah.
So if there was one thing I would pick, it would be certainly that before I start anything.
One thing that I would advise is you can get aerosol cans get them in the supermarket, get them anywhere. And if you have a flat tyre, there's a lot of modern cars don't have spare wheels, or they'll have a space saver or whatever, and it's sometimes it can be difficult to get the nuts off. But these aerosols, you attach them to your tyre, to the valve. Follow the instructions, and it shoots a load of probably synthetic rubber solution into the inside of the wheel and tyre, and you drive for a little bit, and the heat from that expands the product inside the tyre, pumps it up, and seals the puncture. When you come to, should you have to change the tyre after that, your tyre fitter won't thank you.
No,
because it goes everywhere, but it will get you out of trouble.
Right, interesting. Yeah, that's a very good. It's a very good bit of advice there. Yeah, I think between those,
I've used them in real life, and they will get you out of trouble.
Interesting. And do they work? I know they work like if you had a nail or a screw in now or something, but do they work if there's a little, like a slit or a cut?
Probably not, no.
No. Interesting.
I mean, if there was a catastrophic failure of the tyre, then no, obviously, because it works on the basis that the rubber solution on contact with air hardens. So it finds as it goes into your tyre, it starts to expand, which then pushes some of the solution out of the puncture hole. And on contact with air, it hardens, and the tyre pumps up.
I've seen them before. I've never used them. I just
really good, really good.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
I keep a big one and a small one in the car. Big one for the car, small one for the trailer, because you can get two sizes, obviously, for big wheels and small wheels.
That's interesting. So I think, as far as mechanics are concerned, if you have those two things, you probably get out of 50 to 60% of your day-to-day problems.
Yeah.
If anything happens with the engine where it's not working properly, you're not going to affect a roadside repair, no matter what days.
The days of that are over now. I remember when I was a kid, right? My mum had a Singer Vogue. Right, it was it's got to be a 1960s car, isn't it? Got to be.
Yeah.
And it was a big old estate car. I think it's called a station wagon in the US, I think. And
maybe.
And we went to Warner's holiday camp on Hayling Island, and I think the fan belt snapped. So.
Oh right.
Yeah. So my mum got a pair of old tights, and tied them up and used a pair of old tights as a fan belt, and got us home.
Nice.
Yeah.
But that was when you used to set out knowing you were going to break down. So you took tools, you took a water belt, spark plugs, leads. You took up the whole half a car with you.
Right.
But this day and age, if it's maintained properly, whatever goes wrong with it, it's unlikely, especially with AdBlue as well. I mean, it's just, and I've got an electric car, so if anything happens to that, it's just a brick, and there's nothing I'm doing with it until someone comes and picks me up.
Yeah.
But I do have the old SOS thing in the ceiling, which is pretty good. So if you press that,
that's amazing.
Yeah. Covered that in another episode, didn't
I think we did, yeah, but that's still amazing though.
Yeah. Just one thing, because I know time's getting on, but my DIY triangle of DIY, Andy's nuggets.
Let's have it.
So this is the way I see it. If you approach any job, it has to have how do I explain this? There's 3 parts to every job. So it's information, tools, and skill. So you can look at any job in that triangle, and to some extent, you can swap around those sides of the triangle. But let's apply that to different types of jobs. So there are some jobs which don't take a lot of tools. The information, there's not much. I like it. Yeah. But you need a lot of skill to do. Now, I'll give you an example of that is plastering, manual plastering. To buy the floats and the buckets, it's not a lot of money.
Mm.
The information on how you do it, it's not massive. It's not like regulations or anything like that. But the actual skill takes years and years to master. If you have slightly better tools, it's slightly easier. If you research more, then you know what type of plaster, how to prime it, how to put the tape on, how to do this, that, and the other, how to break it down, then it gets a bit easier, but it's very skill heavy. So now if you look on the other side of the triangle for something that's really complicated, like an electrician or a specialized technician for solar panels, the tools you have to buy are insanely expensive, you know, thousands of pounds for the tools. And the information is really heavy as well, super heavy. But the actual physical skill is minimal.
Yeah.
So you're cutting wires, you're threading them, you're making connections. Yes, you've got to feel what the tightness is, but it's nowhere near like a plasterer's skill, which is artistic skill basically. And they're all, but my point to that is, if you're approaching this from a DIY point of view, you can substitute some sides of the triangle for the other. So if you were saying, well, my tools aren't very good, so right, I'll just do a bit more research on ways that I can approach this or easier methods of doing it, and I can practice before I have a go. So you increase the skill side and you increase the information side to make up with the fact you don't have the best tools to do it. The problem with DIY comes in, they're using the worst tools, they don't have the information, and they certainly don't have the skills.
Yeah.
So the job.
Why they get a bodge up end product.
Yeah. So the easiest thing to do is increase the information side by doing research online, watching people do it, or just asking questions. And then if you can buy the tools, if there's a specific tool to do the job, that eliminates you having to replace that tool with a bit of skill. Like, oh, well, I needed that tool, but you know, through experience, I know that if I use this, I can get away with it because I know the skills involved. So if you think of it like that triangle, you can offset one side or the other. If you've got an amazing set of tools for a particular job, then you may not need to have as much skill or do as much research. But I just came up with that, so
well done. Yeah,
sounds good. Sounds really good.
Done, yeah. I'm convinced.
Exactly.
And I mean, the payoff for all that is, you know, when you do manage to do a job well, like the amount of joy that I got out of soldering a pipe into a fitting, and the solder was a perfect silver ring around.
Yeah,
it's out of all proportion to the, you know, to what it actually is.
Yeah, you know, and you're going to paint over it anyway.
Yeah, but just to see it, to see that the solder had gone all the way around in a perfect silver ring, and there was no bits falling off it, it was just, I was overjoyed.
Yeah, and that's increasing your skill, you know. Yeah. So next time you've got to do it upside down like that. You know, I mean, there's
yeah.
You get on and do that. So I think there's loads more we could say on DIY, but the summary for me is you can pretty much attempt anything you feel competent in doing in your house.
Yep.
If you don't feel confident, then there are courses run by, if you're English speaking, run by English speaking people that will introduce you to, because one of the things I touched on was plastering, for example. Not often done here, but is possible. In fact, I've been doing that all day for somebody. So there are courses, residential courses, where you can go for a weekend, have a nice weekend away, and they'll teach you this sort of stuff. And it's a really good idea to search those out and just go on them if you're going to renovate your own house.
That's amazing.
Because there are some specifics with renovating stone houses, like don't use cement, right?
So is that in France or in the UK?
Yeah. These exist in France.
I never knew that.
By English people. and they teach you how to do lime and sand pointing for mortar, which is important because you can't use cement. How to do plastering using what available materials you've got here, and that's completely different to England. So there's no board finish or multi-finish. So there is a way to do it, but you have to get the right materials, and the method is slightly different as well. So, but those courses exist. So get yourself on one of those if you really are serious about renovating. It will save you so much grief in the future if you just go on one of those courses.
That's brilliant. Didn't know about that. Oh, actually, saying that, when I pay my tax each month, I think there's like €2 or €3 that goes to, I don't know whether it goes to apprenticeships or those sorts of things.
Interesting. Yeah. Now,
it's about €2 or €3 per month that goes direct to that.
So they're heavy on qualifications if you're going to do this as a job in France. So there are conversion courses and step-up courses that you can do, but they're all in French, obviously, so you've got to have a good knowledge of the language. But if you do, you can convert your previous qualifications into a French recognized one. So that does exist as well, if you wanted to do that. But probably get more on that from my brother when he comes on.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Brilliant. All right, do you want me to wrap it up here then?
Yeah, it goes so quick, I can't believe it, you know?
I know, it's ridiculous. All right, so thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to give the video a thumbs up, that'd be great. Maybe share it on your social medias, and press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content. Maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. And all that leaves to say is goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.